Making your way through work Monday takes everything you got. Then Monday night rolls around and you realize there's a shot. You're only 10 points away. All those times when your team had no fight, they're just so gosh darn frail. Then your star quarterback let another deep ball sail, and your third round pick bet on his team. Then go check out our streets where everybody knows your pain, and they listen to complaints. You wanna be where you can see our bodies bring you no shame. You wanna go where everybody knows your pain.
Welcome back to Dad Bod Fantasy Squad. I am here with the fellas, Cody and Brian. First time seeing you guys since draft.
It's been a bit. It's been a bit. The boys are back in town.
The boys are COVID free.
Yeah, Brian.
Hey,
Brian tried to take us down.
This boy is always COVID free.
Brian tried to take us down. I meant to introduce him as Patient X. Now he's just here. Patient X is fitting. Like you're in your chair right now. It's like the Professor X going on, dude.
It is.
I'm bald too.
They do say COVID causes hair loss. So
they do. That's what I've been using for the last 3 weeks now.
That's what I've been using.
So we have quite an episode for you guys today. We're going to go over some injuries, kind of talk about what that means for players around them and how we're feeling towards injuries. None of us are medical professionals, so we're really just going to kind of diagnose what it means.
Right.
Well, you are married to one.
Yeah.
And she should just be on this episode.
She really should.
Next season?
I could get guest appearances. I mean, it really wouldn't be that difficult.
Next week?
Yeah.
Next week? This is the injury episode. This is weekly.
She's not going to be your good concussion person. She's going to do better with soft tissue. And
I don't think you can really die. Like a concussion's pretty simple when you're watching a player injury. They have to go through the concussion protocol. If they don't, they're out. If they do, they're in. That's it.
Yep.
And we don't know any insight outside of that.
Yep.
Dude, do we have a medical professional a part of the Dad Bod crew?
I mean,
by extension,
it's there for the taking. But here's the deal. I want my share of salary, just so everyone knows it's zero. I want compensated for 2 salaries if this is going to be the case. Just because we're in the same household does not count as one.
Right.
One host.
Right. I understand. What we'll do is divide your 0 by 2.
You know what? As long as it comes on 2 checks, I'm good.
Cody Austin, $0. Hey, that's what Alex is rocking with in his survivor pool. He asked house for a receipt for tax purposes for donating.
For his $10 entry?
His 20. He said, Can I have a receipt for tax purposes since I just donated?
That's great.
He lost week 1 2 years in a row. He's pretty sad about it. Brian's not feeling too happy. This is the first week that he has lost an entry in week 1. The dude is on.
Last year I did. Last year, week 1, I had 2 entries. I lost 1, and the other one went to week 16.
So Brian's made it pretty far both years.
Second place both years.
I've got a quirk. It's kind of a stupid one, but I played into it. I let it get me. So Brian, you and I were down to. I probably was like bottom 5 or 6.
Yeah, you were
both
like
at the end.
You came third, we'll say, because
yes, we all tied.
Cody, are you in this year or no?
Well, no, that's my quirk. It went so well last year that I have a theory that like you can't run it back like that, and so I'm taking a year off from it purely because I knew I'd be
wrong.
Like,
I know the second
logic
place twice. So how was the quirk for that?
It means you're getting. Well, look what happened this year. You had to pay the price, Brian.
I still got one alive.
You had to pay the piper.
We're going to week 16 again just to lose for the Browns like we did last year. That was so sad against the
So
Jets.
I'll be back. I mean, I like it a lot, but I have this weird thing where like if something goes too well, I can't run it back. You guys, here's a perfect example. Another example, like the flower boy thing that I was so excited for that I did at a wedding. And everyone's like, oh, you got to do it again. You should make it. Nope. went too good. Pull the plug. That's it.
That's
Never
like
again.
That's the
One
way to
and
go
done.
with like relationships too. Like if you like a girl, you have a good date, just
Is
ghost
that what
her
you do
for a
with
couple
kids?
days.
You just go one, then you're like, oh, this one's a good one. Yeah, that's what you did. You're like, this is a good one. Don't want to screw this up.
Yep.
And he already has because he's a giant monster.
House said he would love to have you back. Obviously, it's too
Next
late
year,
this
baby.
year.
Next year, baby.
We'll be waiting. Brian's going to be sitting in week 16 again. Alex, however, is not going to make it past week 1 another year in a row, just to remind everyone. All right,
Shocker, Alex's takes are bad. Who knew?
Hey, his Duvernay one is sitting pretty. Let's go to injuries from this week. I'm going to hit with the main ones, then we'll talk about some that popped up today. None of us are having huge concerns about those ones. Anyways, T. Higgins is in concussion protocol. He was limited Wednesday. Brian had a funny little remark about this. Oh, look at that.
There you go.
T. Higgins walking in locker room saying he's all right and watching ping pong and smiling. So if T
and by limited, I think they meant he was walking around the locker room.
Yeah, like I don't understand what the point of the ping pong and smiling is, but if he's able to watch ping pong, he's able to play. That's what I've heard.
I think that's a good way to take it. So if he does, it does seem like he's going to play. I think all three of us agree on that. It seems like that. If he was to miss, is there some Tyler Boyd streaming that we're thinking about doing this week?
I think so.
I
think he's a for sure flex. I don't know if I'm going to wide receiver to him, but he's for sure a flex.
I'd probably wide receiver to him. I mean, in my one league, I have, who is it? It's Bateman is my wide receiver 1. And my wide receiver 2 is, man, who is it? We'll come back to it.
Technically, you're just starting 3 flexes. You're calling it a wide receiver.
Allen Robinson's the other one.
Yeah, you're starting 3 flexes.
And they played Dallas.
Yeah.
Dallas defense wasn't awful, but it did look like Tom Brady was just a little bit off. I think I would also flex Tyler Boyd. Dak Prescott, thumb surgery, was expected to be out a couple months, but they chose to leave him off IR, which I think is moronic. I think it's a terrible decision. I don't think he's going to get back before 4 weeks.
Agreed. And he's never been a particularly fast guy to heal. Like I remember ankle injuries were supposed to be a couple weeks, taking 2 months with him in the past. Like I feel like that's a thing.
Yeah, when he snapped his ankle off, is that what you're talking about? You were pretty upset that he took the rest of the season off.
Why'd they put him on IR?
What a monster. How could he do this?
Is there does this downgrade at all positions on this team? And then also, is Cooper Rush relevant in Superflex 2 QB leagues?
I picked him up in Superflex, but it's a team where I was QB needy because I have Deshaun Watson and 2 other quarterbacks, so I don't have a third quarterback. So for QB needy teams, I think so. Man, it sucks for CeeDee Lamb. I had a lot of CeeDee Lamb shares. He was pretty terrible even with Dak. Got tons of targets, but it's a terrible game, and this is not good for CeeDee. It's not good.
Yeah, so I actually saw a post on Reddit the other day, and I kind of floated you guys the same question. And that question was, is CeeDee Lamb, is it possible he's just not that good? And I thought this was an interesting thing to look at because I don't want to say he's not that good because I don't believe it, because I do think he's like a top 15 guy. But I did get a lot of hate on my rankings for having him in the lower wide receiver 1 section. And, you have the Dak situation. I don't know if I agree with this guy about the eye test, but Lamb did have a lot of drops in this past game. And he's playing without Amari Cooper now for the first time. So he's kind of going against the best coverage and everything. I disagree with this guy. I do think Lamb is a great talent. I think there might be a little bit of an adjustment.
Growing pains?
Yeah, some growing pains for sure. Because now he's got a lot harder coverage. He doesn't have a true other guy.
Gallup,
I mean,
currently.
I was going to say Gallup is coming back in the next week or 2, it looks like.
It looked like they ruled him out, but then it said he was limited today. Yes.
I just saw him projected for like 10.5 points on ESPN, so I was kind of confused by that.
Let me add to what you're saying, Brian.
Yeah.
Because it goes with what you're saying. I got burnt by a player, I guess it probably 4 or 5 years ago at this point, probably 4 years ago. And I went all in on a player, and he ended up, he just wasn't that guy. And it was same situation. The wide receiver 1 left the team. I was okay with the quarterback play. I liked the offense. and I got it really, really wrong. I drafted this guy as a first rounder, and it feels eerily similar. Now it's a small sample size, so I'm not committing to this, but it feels eerily like Juju Smith-Schuster.
And I think that's another one that
Brian said.
Yeah, that was another one mentioned in that same article.
Yep.
Or, well, I don't want to call a Reddit post an article, but
hey, you got to start somewhere. And that's what we started on. It is early.
Yeah.
I do have concerns about Tony Pollard and my love for him. He's another guy that I don't know. I just don't know what this offense is going to look like. I actually do trust Cooper Rush. Did well in his one outing last season. CD did well in that outing. I think he had a little over 100 yards, 8 targets or something like that. So they had a good connection. Dalton Schultz and Cooper Rush I remember this from last season, did not have a good connection. He targeted him 7 times and they only connected on 2, and it looked bad the whole game. Hoping that grew a little bit.
I was just going to mention last year when Andy Dalton played for the Cowboys, I remember Gallup was his favorite receiver, and Gallup's value shot
2 years
up.
ago. Yeah.
Was it 2 years ago? It might have been.
Yeah.
And the rest of the receivers kind of took a hit. Like Gallup was Dalton's favorite receiver. So it is interesting. Like there's going to be a different rapport with Cooper Rush. And, it could just be, it's going to be rough. I'd play him as like a wide receiver too from here until Dak gets back at least.
Yeah, he's still a starter. He's still a starter. It's just
you probably don't have better options.
Yep.
Dude, he just looks so good on tape. Like he reminds me of how T. Higgins plays. Like his grabs and the catches are very strong. Let's go to Keenan Allen. Had a hamstring issue, strain. He is not going to play Thursday night. What does that, is that bumping up anybody for you guys? Mike Williams, Josh
He's definitely
Palmer,
setting me up here.
Gerald Everett. What do we got going on here, Brian? We'll start with you.
So I am starting Josh Palmer in, I think, 3
And say what
leagues
you
this
said,
week.
too. Say it.
I said, if this isn't the week, it's not going to happen. He's gotten so much hype and everything. And last week, it hurt my soul to watch DeAndre Carter catch, 2 touchdowns? Because those should have been Palmer's balls.
This is actually, as a Palmer guy, this is a good thing for you, actually. You're going to get a chance to know. It's actually...
Yeah, it is. It's early that you'll know this now, too, instead of stashing him all year.
Exactly. I'll be cool with dropping him. I mean, in Dynasty, I'll probably still hang on to him, but in redraft leagues, I'll feel very comfortable dropping him if this week doesn't show anything. Did you guys see when Keenan Allen, they asked him, they said, how's your hammy? And he was like, oh, I'm pretty good. I'll probably play this week. And then they reminded him that the game was on Thursday. And he said, oh, then it's a little possibility.
Yeah, they already did rule him out. Cody, is there anybody that you're bumping down or bumping up?
It's Mike Williams to me. And I know the Chiefs defense played fine against Arizona this past week, but that Chiefs secondary is nothing. Like this is a Mike Williams game.
I think this is everybody season. I think this is an everybody game. Like anybody you have on either team, you're going to bump them up 5-10 spots.
Mike Williams is probably
55.
Yeah. I mean, Mike Williams is a borderline wide receiver 1 this week.
Yeah, but we all said that last week.
It was weird, but they had one more week to prepare. Keenan Allen has been in practice at all. And by one more week, I mean 4 days. So hopefully that helps a little bit. Najee Harris had a foot injury. They were talking about it like it was very severe. He was going to miss time. And then this has been one of the weirdest and most bizarre.
It is weird.
Reports came out, said, yeah, I should play this week. It's been really odd. We don't know if it's the Liz Frank foot. I don't believe we know. I haven't seen. I guess the only question for this is, are you picking up Jalen Warren, who is the backup there?
Not for me.
I'm not either.
At least not.
I buy it's not that. I buy that it's
that
not
line isn't good enough.
And honestly, like I know we're talking about, or they're talking it down that it's not that big of an injury concern. This scares me. This scares me a lot. Like long term for the entire season, because the worst possible scenario is that he plays poorly, and then you can't even like pick up Jalen Ward like you said and play him.
Yeah. And maybe they limit him and they split work on an already bad offense. Like, it could be gross.
Elijah Mitchell, MCI sprain. He's expected to miss about 2 months.
I was expecting
MCI.
MCL.
It's an MCL. That's a Cody typo is what that is.
I should have caught it too, though. Jeff Wilson is a clear pickup for, I think, all 3 of us, whether we're starting him or not. Are you stashing TDP or Jordan Mason?
I just don't know who it is.
I just saw a thing that said they haven't named who their second back is. It's Jeff Wilson for sure, and then the backup. So my question to you is, why pick up either of those guys if you didn't have Jeff Wilson in the first place? Like, why do you want to own the handcuff of the handcuff, but not the original handcuff?
Because
I think. Go ahead. Sorry, Mario.
I was just going to say I think they could just steal the show at any point. Kyle
Same here. I think Elijah Mitchell had more of a stranglehold on that job than Jeff Wilson now does.
Yeah.
So I don't just that upside if they dominated.
Yeah, but here's the thing. If let's say you want to go all in on this and you're like, you know what, I'm going to get this backfield and I'm going to figure out who it is. We got to pick up 3 of them. Nobody's got the roster space to pick up 3.
And that has been the thing with the 49ers for the past how many years?
It's got to be
Trey Sermon was probably held all year last year, and I don't think he had a meaningful game.
There it is. Drafted this year as well. Chris Godwin, hamstring issue. Apparently it's not near as bad as they initially thought. He's not even ruled out.
I was so worried it was his knee.
They're calling it week to week. I don't think he'll play this week.
I don't think he plays this week either. So I've been saying a lot that Julio Jones is a huge smash play. Mike Evans is also dealing with a little something, but I think he'll be fine as well. If Mike Evans
see Mike Evans. Julio's dealing with Julio hasn't practiced.
Julio, I think, left the game, didn't he?
No, he did not.
Julio
he came back. He finished.
Yeah, but he does have a bum knee and hasn't practiced. I didn't see Mike Evans. I just saw Godwin and
I feel like Mike Evans is one of the guys that is on the injury report every single week.
It was definitely nothing concerning.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me pull it up though for you just to kind of get Mike Evans leg wrapped, has a minor calf injury that was reported today. So I don't think it's anything serious. As long as Mike Evans plays, and Julio for that matter, I want to plug in Julio. If Mike Evans doesn't play for whatever weird reason, I am not starting Julio because I don't want that Lattimore matchup.
Yeah.
So you're saying it's like a Josh Palmer situation? Same talent level?
J.K. Dobbins is expected to. Well, he had a full practice today, so it sounds optimistic. George Kittle has still yet to practice, but they think that he'll be ready to go this week. Is that what I read?
Yeah, that's kind of the same feeling I got. I mean, he thought he was playing last weekend all the way up until Saturday night when Shanahan said
I thought he was playing last week.
So I think Kittle's definitely in the camp of thinking he's playing, but he was overruled last week.
There are actually quite a few guys that I was surprised weren't playing last week. And it was Kittle, Lazard.
I told you, I owned Kittle and JK both in one league. Week 1 missing 2 starters. It can't get worse.
Yeah, it sucks. Especially when, especially Dobbins, he's had a very long time. Although I just read something that it was his ACL, it was his LCL, it was his PCL.
Came on the show.
Yeah, it was everything.
Came on the show saying it.
And so,
which is surprising that Gus is so far behind him because Gus was supposedly just the ACL.
Yeah. But they could just be calling it an ACL also, and we don't know.
Yeah.
On this Najee update that you just put up there, I actually didn't remember all of that. That's concerning.
That would be college days, I think.
Yeah.
4 years.
Yeah, but in 4 years, I mean, yeah.
So Najee, 6 foot / ankle injuries in 4 years in college, or the last 4 years.
Right.
Yeah, and foot and ankles, you play on them, you walk on them. It's not something that's going to get better. It's not a hand or a shoulder or something you can lay off of. It's not as well as you'd like to.
3 concerning guys came up this week. Michael Pittman with a quad. Brian has a picture. I'll let him pull that up. DeAndre Swift with his ankle and Julio Jones with his knee. Keep an eye on those. We're not expecting them to sit, but just make sure you're monitoring. Tomorrow will be a bigger. There it is. It's Wednesday, my dudes. Don't worry.
And he did practice today, so that's good news.
Yeah, I think Julio and DeAndre Swift both missed, but that's not unusual for Swift, and I don't think it is.
Oh, and I also just saw a report from everybody's favorite Matt Rule that said basically CMC is going to have every Wednesday off for the rest of the year.
Hey, I like it.
I do
limit those touches.
Sense. I would rather him just not even be at the field house. Like, just show up Sundays, dude.
Let's get into the game preview. So we're going to kick off. Every Wednesday, we're going to do as many games as we could get to, which is probably 8. We're going to start off with the Thursday night preview.
This is going to be a quickie.
Yeah,
quickie. So the Chiefs versus Chargers. Cody, what's your take here?
This is actually originally Brian's take, but I couldn't agree more. And the answer is start everyone.
Okay,
so I was going to say
dissect that a little bit.
Couple people I did have in mind that I wanted to ask you about. So, are you starting Josh Palmer?
No, that's not everybody. That's
okay. Well, hold on. I mean, Keenan Allen's out. Okay, are you starting Juju?
So everybody to me is Mike Williams, Juju, the running backs.
So Juju is included in that. And you feel good starting Clyde and what about Pacheco?
No, Pacheco got garbage time. Clyde is the start. To me.
I'm actually a little nervous about Juju this week. That secondary is nice in the Chargers, guys. I am telling you, I'm worried about Juju this week. I'm not going start Sky Moore. That's not what I'm saying either. It could be MVS. It could be Travis Kelce. I have some fears about Juju this week.
Because of shadow expectations? Because I don't think this is an offensive shadow to me.
I mean, well, and Juju's not the player that typically gets shadowed because he runs out of the slot. So, but there's two guys on this team that if they're covering him, it's going to be a tough day. Asante Samuel and is it JC Jackson?
Yeah.
To be honest, I'm kind of surprised that Cody is so, I don't want to say gung-ho because he's not gung-ho, but that it was such a quick, yes, I'd play Juju.
Yeah, and like all the guys is obviously an exaggerated term. I mean, I'm starting a receiver, a tight end, a running back, and a quarterback.
You starting Everett?
These teams. I think you start Everett. Do you? I mean, it depends what you have.
Yeah, you're not going to start him over Pitts.
Right.
No, I'm starting him over Gesicki, though. I'm starting him over top 12 Komet. Sure. I'm starting him over Dawson Knox. I'm starting him over Njoku.
Yep. Noah Fant.
Yeah, he's probably like currently, I'd probably put him right in that 8 category probably.
Before or after Godare?
Right around
I'd go Godare, but that's the right area.
Yeah.
TJ Hawk has got to be after that nowadays.
No, I'd include them right there too.
That's a lump probably from 7 to 12 that those guys are all in.
Yeah. Austin Eckler's kind of struggled. Obviously, you're still plugging him away. Clyde got 2 receiving touchdowns. We'll have to see more. I would be a little bit nervous about that start, knowing that you should have 2 other RBs instead of just Clyde. But this could be one of those instances where he is your RB2 because you got him so late. Then obviously you have no choice. But if you have 2 other RBs, would you start Travis Etienne?
Here's what it is for me. Let me say a quick thing on Clyde. So obviously Pacheco got work. Clyde,
it was all second half.
It was. I talked so much about getting the work that matters. Clyde got the work that matters. It's red zone. It's receiving work. It's when the game is. It's when it's still a game. Like he got every ounce of work that mattered.
Can I call out a sneaky DFS play?
Okay,
it's real cheap and it's real sneaky. It's Jarrett McKinnon.
Yeah.
He showed every bit that like he's going to be a part of this offense more than anybody anticipates.
7 or 8
just like
touches,
we saw in the playoffs.
6.
And if this is a close game, I actually expect Jarrett McKinnon to be, I would say, closer in the game more. If this is a close game,
he's always had the talent.
Really do. So I would, if you're in DFS, I like that play with Jarrett McKinnon.
And if you look at it just from a touches standpoint, Clyde got 10, Jarrett got 6. So I mean, it's not a big difference.
And they were really the main 2 again. Yeah. Mattered.
Yeah, Pacheco looked good. Don't get me wrong. All of them kind of did though. Yep. But it was garbage time.
I have trouble evaluating that game at all just because of like how much of a blowout it was.
It was over so early. Yeah.
Cards are
that's the part messy. That got me about Clyde, really. Like you can't get excited about 10 touches, but he had 10 touches by halfway through the second quarter. Like or not much later than that. Like that's the part that I licked my lips at.
Although it was a great game for all of us Kelsey believers that didn't think the succession of Mark Andrews was taking over yet.
It'll work.
Yeah.
I think that was targeted at me. Anyways, let's go to the Patriots versus Steelers. Trust Najee. I like somebody just in our notes. It just says Deontay. Period. So like I guess froze.
That means
that was me.
Brian wants to say something about Deontay. I think.
No, I just wanted to say, like, are we trusting him? Like, how do you guys feel after that last game? Because
I think
it wasn't.
Reassuring.
I didn't think it was that reassuring. I thought the offense just kind of looked rough. I mean, I think Deontay is good enough to demand the targets and get enough, but I don't think he is going to be putting up what you expected. Like if you're looking at last year.
But I feel like Deontay was that guy last year too. Like he wasn't necessarily gaudy yards and gaudy touchdowns. He's a PPR machine.
Yeah, but
like,
the thing was that Ben just threw it to him constantly.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's not going to happen here, but it just, I don't know. I felt like Mitch was spreading it around a bit. Claypool, it seemed 12. Like was getting 12 what?
12 targets.
Oh yeah, 12 targets, 7 catches, 55 yards. But
this is very in line with what he did
last
year, though.
I'm pretty sure most of those targets came late third, fourth quarter. Oh, maybe House would be able to tell me more because I'm sure he watched every play of that game.
Yeah.
But I feel like Deontay was sitting at about 7 fantasy points through about 3 quarters.
Okay. I'm not panicking on Deontay. I think
he's a ton of targets.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No. I like where you're going with it, but I was gonna say I think Deontay was kind of what I expected with like maybe a smidge down. Like I just think he's a PPR player, and that's what he was.
Yeah, I would still be starting Deontay.
Oh, for
as a
sure,
wide receiver.
starting.
I mean, he's a wide receiver too. So.
I'd say that's about the range.
Yeah,
like low wide receiver 1, high wide receiver 2, most likely. I think that's the year.
Brian, I watched this game and I thought Chase had many more targets, but he only ended up with 6.
I know. I thought the same thing too.
The 4 for 18 line. Yep. I was like, geez, I thought
it's
he looked
DK
good.
Metcalf game.
Dude, no, dude, and it's worse.
He did look like he got some like meaningful touches. Like it looked like they were trying to get him the ball, and he was
missed a flag or something.
Kind of open, like on a lot of those. Claypool.
Yeah, because I remember thinking like I should have drafted Chase. I should have drafted Chase, and this is not any indication of that.
Yeah,
which is always interesting when you look at stat lines versus what you watched. I think that's a really fun thing to do. It also can kind of screw you up a little bit. Joe Burrow, 4 INTs.
Whoa.
Oh. Wrong.
Hit that week 1 game. Really on the
I was looking at the stats.
Yeah. I actually almost did the same thing. That's the only reason I was able to react to you so quickly. I'm actually
feel like I'm sweating
right now. Yeah. What are you doing with this Pats backfield though, man? Just to hit on the pass, because really, I think that's the main thing we need to talk about.
I am all about Ramondre right now.
Still,
okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
What happened? If you saw the game, Ty Montgomery, who we all expected, got a ton of passing work, and was on the field for a lot of third downs. He is now going to the IR. So
So what? They're not going to trade for Brandon Bolden and give him all the passing work? Like it's the Patriots.
He was weirdly involved in Las Vegas quite a bit. He's like 33 or something, 32. Anyways, Ramondre is supposedly the passing down back now.
And like on the flip side of that, I agree with you on that part in terms of like there's extra receiving work for Ramondre. But why are they giving him rushing work? Damian Harris is clearly the better running back.
They're 50-50.
To me, Damian Harris is clearly the better rushing
Damian Harris. I don't know.
They seem to. All he does is average almost 5 yards a carry and put tons of touchdowns. Like, they just,
It's like the Miles Sanders, Aaron Jones. Like, these guys are so efficient and they get the least amount of work.
Yeah.
Like, Miles Sanders is an efficient back. He just gets no work.
He is. He got a touchdown this week, but yeah.
It's so funny to me that Mario is so in on Ramondre. And I mean, I guess I don't blame him just because in our one league, we are like desperate for a running back too. But like, I want none of these running backs. I don't want a Patriots running back. It's the same as it's been every year. I don't know why we're trying to fool ourselves.
Good to own.
Yeah,
no.
Damian Harris had what?
Damian Harris was fine last year. Damian Harris was fine last year. LeGarrette Blount was okay, but it's like
James White.
You never know who it's going to be week to week. Come on, Rex Burkhead, Brandon Bolden. Like, these are names we only know.
Some of us weren't dumb enough to own Rex Burkhead and Brandon Bolden.
Oh, come on. I didn't. Okay, I did own Brandon Bolden for a little bit because of the bees and everything.
Yeah, pick him up from Las Vegas.
Like, come on. You really think that both of these running backs are going to be putting up numbers each week? It's not.
No, I just think
that's my question, but I think one of them will. I mean,
I think Mario's so wrong.
So do you think it's Damian Harris then?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I think like what you said, I think Damian Harris is just way better. I don't think Ramondre is bad, but he's not going to get enough work to make him worth it. And Damian Harris has the chance of like a home run on like every play.
And
Ramondre is set to get the passes.
Week to week, you're banking, and it's the same story it's always been with Damian Harris, and it's okay to some degree, but you're banking on touchdowns. Like, Damian Harris will probably have 3 or 4 games this year where he has 2 touchdowns. And if you start him that week, you are going to be a happy person.
Yeah, honestly, I'm just kind of out on the entire Patriots offense. Like, I don't really want any Patriots players.
You don't want Kendrick Bourne?
Nope.
No, that
I don't want any of this
look a little rough.
Core,
they brought back Tyler just said B's right with Pat's RB's always been a 4-man committee. He also said Bill Burge is in the house.
Let me read you off real quick. I didn't want to spend any time here, but I do think the receiving core is almost hilarious how little there is of like recognizable value right now. These are the leading receptions. 4, 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1.
It's Jacoby Myers is the only guy you can feel decent about owning, and he's maybe a
decent because he ain't gonna get any touchdowns.
He's maybe a flex, and that's it.
I don't even know if he's a flex.
I don't think he is.
He had 9.5 points.
Yeah, you and I, you know my statement there, Brian.
I know.
Making fun of me about having some hope with Ramondre, yet he's over here trotting out Jacoby Myers in his flex. Get for real, dude.
Brian and I have debated this topic for forever. If you tell me a guy's going to get 9.5, I'm putting him on my bench.
I've always said 10 points is flex worthy.
Yeah, he loves his.
Like that was James White, 11 points.
Melvin Gordon 2 years ago, right? Or last year?
Last year.
That
was actually who we were talking about.
Melvin Gordon was my RB2 last year, and he carried me to the championship.
I think the last part that I probably like barely mentioned on is they brought back Joe Judge and Matt Patricia, and that just makes me not want any bit of these Patriots except for Ramondre. Let's go to the Panthers versus Giants. I love whoever wrote this question.
That was me.
I love it. Was CMC's usage concerning? Here's the thing though. I think us 3. I don't know where Cody has him ranked, but I think we're the low guys in the group.
I think I'm probably middle, not as low as you guys. I'm probably middle.
I'm not as low as Brian, but Brian's just. Actually, I think Brian moved him up a little bit. Anyway, was his usage concerning? So I'll go to you, Cody, on a more neutral sort of point of view.
It's the best thing they could do.
I think so too.
I think efficiency wise will be better, and you will be very thankful if he gets maybe 14's a smidge low, but if you tell me CMC with 16 to 18 touches, that's right where I would love to see him, just with the health concerns. Now, does that limit his upside? Like if you drafted him as your RB1, you're going to be disappointed, but if you drafted him as RB5 or whatever, like
which maybe early in the season you got him at, maybe
he can be productive with 18 touches. I think.
I had him projected out for 14 to 15. I think we see a little bit more, but I don't know, man. Like that, he saved his day with a touchdown. Like,
which he'll do that a lot. Honestly,
he also had one really big. I want to say it was either a screen pass or a run off the right side. It had to have been like 40 yards that was called back on holding, so that definitely hurts as well.
Yeah.
But it just didn't look like the same Panthers force feeding the ball to CMC like we've seen in the past years. So I think Cody might be right when he's saying they're trying to like save him, which as a fantasy owner, I think you should be happy with, but you're probably selfish and don't care.
Yeah, because 15 fantasy points is fine.
It all depends how high you drafted him. If you think he's RB1, you're going to be sad. That's the problem.
Because I think the 3 of us can clearly say that we weren't advocating for the CMC over JT thing.
I think I was.
Truthfully, I wasn't taking him at second. I wasn't taking him number 2. I would fade that too. But my number 2 would have been something like Eckler, who I'd be a little bit disappointed right now. anything about the receivers on the Panthers side? Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore. We think better days are ahead of DJ Moore. He went against Denzel Ward. Robbie Anderson, Cody has a little love for.
A smidge. I mean, I did pick him up a couple places. I put in bids that I didn't think would get him, and I got him. So nobody has any Robbie Anderson love. So for a lot of you out there, he might still be on waivers because apparently I'm the only person who wanted to pick him up. I don't have a ton. I just want to see another week. It's a new quarterback. And Robbie Anderson is disappointed most of his career, but there's been enough flashes to where like maybe it's a thing. It's worth a stab for me. But I'm not excited.
If there was ever a quarterback that was going to unlock Robbie Anderson perennial wide receiver 2/3's potential, it's Baker Mayfield, because Baker in Cleveland hated his wide receiver 1 always. So maybe he will get the work. Did you guys also hear that thing during the game that Robbie Anderson changed how he spells his name? Like he went from R-O-B-B-Y to I-E instead.
Yeah, this is
it messed with me. It messed with me.
He said,
I couldn't find him.
It flows better or something. Yeah.
I feel like you, Cody, because I remember seeing it that way before and then seeing it this way now, and I was like,
"That's not."
But right. I never thought of anything. I just always thought I was wrong.
It really does flow better though. Like that's my.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm passionate.
He's passionate about the name.
Much prefer that spelling.
So should we just start spelling your name? C-O-D-I-E.
What if I did like a double E?
A double E, Cody. Flip over to the Giants real quick. I got to say one thing that I am pretty adamant that Barkley's another top 3 play this week.
Yep.
I said it.
I'll say
Panthers
top 5
D-line did not look good.
No, they actually have a very bad run defense.
Yeah, and Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb ate on them. This should be another big week for Barkley.
Yep, agreed.
I think that's going to be a theme all year is play running backs against the Panthers defense.
Any wide receivers you guys are starting on Giants?
No.
Don't trust it. Sterling Shepard would be the play, but I don't trust it.
I wouldn't.
We got the Jets versus the Browns. Browns defense legit.
Yep.
I think so. I think so for sure.
We're glad we could keep you company. We're glad we could keep you company while you pooped, Tyler. Thank you for joining.
Hey, ask him, does he have his pants on or off?
Jeez, Cody.
Is he
I think the Browns defense is legit. I think they looked like a Super Bowl team for the first half of that game.
Whoa. That's getting pretty serious.
Defensively,
I like it.
Defensively, I should say. I
think got a defense and a kicker.
Once Deshaun comes back,
Cade York looks like he's a future Hall of Famer.
He does. I think the Jets are going to have trouble. And actually, I wrote this part about any Jets you feel good starting, but I kind of want to pivot that question and just make it about the running backs.
Yeah. And really, it's a Brees. I mean, I guess maybe people are. What are you doing, Brees Hall?
I was about to say, Cody, gun to your head. Are you starting Michael Carter or Brees this week?
Do I have to start one of them?
You have to start one of them.
My answer is a resounding neither.
No Carter? Oh, I mean, against the Browns.
Against the Browns.
I think I'd start a Carter for sure, especially against the Browns, because you got to assume he's the more receiving back because he's small.
I think it was 12 to 10 targets. Brees caught 6. Michael caught a ton.
Yeah,
10.
It's just
I could pull it up.
It's just not a good offense. And I know they had nice receptions last week. It's just not a good offense. And I hate running backs and bad offenses, especially against good defenses.
Yeah, you know what was crazy was how much hype Elijah Moore got in the preseason. I never really understood that because
I felt this was one of our first tweets was about how he did well. The most more than half of his work came from a combination of Mike White and Joe Flacco. I actually had him as a nice play this week, and then he was just kind of MIA. Garrett Wilson saw a lot, though.
Yeah, Carter had 7 catches. Brees had 6. That's crazy.
It is.
It does seem like it's going to be it's almost an even split. It's just 5 more touches for Carter.
Yeah,
here's the problem.
Flacco threw 59 times.
Here's the problem.
And they scored 9 points.
You're about to hit it. Flacco threw that many times.
Oh my God.
And the running backs are not catching 13 passes every week. They're just not, period. And so if you tell me it's going to be a split, it's gross. Because that number is not going to be 13 catches split between them.
See, I get what you're saying. I know it's a super high amount, but I think it's going to be a big number every week. If they're down
splitting
a lot,
8 or 9, and that doesn't get me nearly as excited.
Dude, what happened
8 or
in
9
this
total?
game?
I think those two would combine for 8 or 9 catches a week on average.
They only had 2 turnovers also. What happened in this game?
Jets looked pretty okay against the Ravens. Their defense looked good.
They outperformed them in like literally every stat. So I just don't understand how they only scored 9 points. Did they just literally stall out inside the 10 every drive? Because like you don't get 59 pass attempts and 17 rushing attempts with 3 and outs. Like that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Like you have to sustain drives.
8 receptions a game for the pair of them is like 130 something receptions.
Yeah, so that's what makes it like if you're expecting them to get 8 or 9 catches a game, which I think is if they're always down, they dump, especially Joe Flacco. He's older. He dumps off quite a bit.
So it's 4 though.
No, they're gonna get more than that.
No, 4 piece. Let's say it's 4 piece hypothetically. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I think
yeah, but running back catches generally go for like 10 yards. Like they go for further, at least I believe so.
Further than
I
run.
don't have stats to back this up. Yeah, like further.
Oh, I think it's further than wide
it.
receiver catches. I got you now.
I wasn't going to say further. It just seems like you normally see like 4 for 40, like 10 yards a catch, and chance like their screen passes. You know, they either go all the way or they die.
2.7. Scott Barrett wrote an article. 2.74 is the amount that a target is worth for a running back versus a rush.
Versus 1 for a rush, you're saying? Like, so basically 1,
2 times, 2.74 times more.
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy. So almost 3 times. It's almost, you almost want those targets. It's 3 times better. So with all that being said, Brees, I want to buy low on Brees, but I would not start him here. I would not start Michael Carter here either because the Browns defense is legit. DPJ or Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper has better days ahead. I just don't think it's ever really going to happen with Jacoby Brissett. Are you guys starting them?
Neither? Yeah, I think
the answer is neither.
I think they're great stashes. Like I probably would buy low on Amari Cooper at some point if they
might both have at the end of the season like okay stats. Like it wouldn't shock me if they both have between 800 and 1,000 yards. But for fantasy, it's not going to be there.
Much like Chase Claypool, I thought Amari Cooper looked great while not actually putting up any stats.
He had a big catch on that last drive, though. Which you love to see, big moment. Like that's the stuff where
DPJ had a couple big moments too.
DPJ had a couple contested catches that were big time.
I think both of these guys are going to have insane value when Deshaun Watson comes back. Hunt, I think he's absolutely a must start. Do you guys agree?
I do.
It's an easy plug-in start. I don't
know if
there's a matchup that I care about until week 12.
Yeah, I think it was 2-3 years ago when Hunt and Chubb were both like top 15 guys.
Yep.
I think that's this year. At least until Deshaun comes back and we see what changes.
And I might not go quite that far, but I'll still say he's a top 24 running back, so he needs to be in your He needs to be in your starting lineup. Like he's still a number 2 back.
Good. They look good.
Those running backs look so good.
Hunt
we got to get off the Browns and Jets.
Hunt is like one of the nicest values in football from the draft, is what I actually believe.
Especially if you're not from Cleveland. We didn't get the as good deals as everyone else. Yeah,
that's how it always happens. Damn. Yeah. Colts versus Jaguars. Matt Ryan threw 50 times on an offense that we all expected to run the ball. Threw 50 times last game. Alec Pierce dropped 1 TD and then got stuffed on the next one. It was actually a pretty good play. JT had 35 touches last game. So against the Jaguars, I think the Jaguars looked decent, competitive. Are we expecting a close game here? Are we going to see Matt Ryan throw a ton again?
I don't think they can scare you. I think decent and scare. Like I think this is just a weird game to me because if you look at it, like you kind of talked about how does Flacco. Well, no, I guess I'm talking for the Colts.
Yeah, okay. Can I do a quick meme?
Okay.
Colts ruining survivor pools week 1. And then they shake hands.
You bet on Matt Ryan. Do you know what the like?
Dude, no, it was the Colts last year.
Death taxes and Matt Ryan screwing 3 guarantees in life.
It doesn't matter. The Colts love killing survivor pools week 1. Wow.
I actually fully believe. Yes, that's 100% true.
But to Mario's question about is this going to be a competitive game, I don't think it is. I think the Colts are going to blow the Sox off the Jags.
Here's the deal. This box score isn't the Colts had over 500 yards of offense.
Yeah,
they just didn't put it in the pay dirt.
And you saw Blankenship duffed a kick. I think he might have missed 2 extra points or something stupid.
Boys. That was still against Houston that they couldn't score.
So,
but they put up over 500 yards,
and that was a competitive week.
It's week 1.
It was a competitive game.
They put up over 500 yards.
It's week 1.
But Jaguars look like they made some steps in the right direction.
I thought the Jaguars looked terrible.
I think they made steps in the right direction. I still think you're talking a probably 10-win team versus a 5-win team.
Oh, yeah. The Colts always kind of start off slow. I agree.
Yeah,
Then they go back. They revert back to just, shoving it down JT's throat. Having JT shove it down the defense's throat. There we go.
The Jaguars played the Commanders, dude. Like, that's another 5-win team. I'm just saying.
I don't know if it is a 5-win.
Although, listen to me arguing for that when the Colts played the Texans.
I know. And the Commanders looked great. Offensively,
the Commanders did look good. I don't think
played the Jaguars.
Yeah, I know. It's hard to figure out like what the hell is going on here. So Michael Pittman, I've mentioned this on the show already. Obviously locked in as your starter as long as he's not hurt.
He's the guy. I don't want anything else anymore.
Receiver. Yeah. I'm dropping Alec Pierce for redraft.
Yep.
I do have
it's the Michael Pittman show.
In Dynasty.
Yes,
it is the Michael Pittman show or the JT show.
It just further cements it too that he is like the only, like, your second receiver is Naheem Hines and then Ashton Doolin. Like, come on.
And he looked. I feel like Doolin got a lot of work in preseason as well. So like I wouldn't tell you to pick him up, but like deep leagues, monitor, I guess. The next question is, how are you boys feeling about ETN? Worried?
No. Worried but buying. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah.
I do not feel worried just because only 6 total touches, about 60 yards. But the biggest thing is that he should have had like a 5-6 yard receiving touchdown. If he catches that, nobody's worried. He has a great week. Like 15 points or something like that. 2 of them.
He had a wheel. He dropped one, so one was his fault. Then the other one, he had a wheel. Yeah,
that's the one I'm talking about, where Trevor Lawrence completely blew the throw. And that's honestly why I said, like, the Jaguars just still aren't going to be that good, is because I am not a Trevor Lawrence believer. Like, 24 or 42, 275. Like, you threw 42 times and you didn't even get 300 yards. I don't know. I'm just not really buying it.
So, I mean, let's keep it going there because I have no worries about ETN. I've mentioned it on the other episodes.
I have minor touch. Let me just add, my minor worries is just touch volume worry. And because I know he's going to have valuable touches. I'm not worried about what his touches look like. I still need him to get 8 or 10 a game.
Yeah. His snap percentage was there. And that's actually what, like, his snap percentage was the mark of what I was okay with, right? Yep. Like, if J-Rob is back, this is what I was okay with. You're right, though. Those are lower touches than I would like. Again, we have at least 2 missed receptions, but that's not it. I know there's more. I don't have it in front of me. They are, and he was used within the 20s. Like, he was used there.
This may sound very pessimistic, but I am not buying the James Robinson. Like, I thought I'm biased. I thought he looked good. I agree. I'm not buying it until it's happened for like 3 more weeks, I feel like.
I'm buying what we saw, but I don't know that what we saw, because like of what we saw, if there's not a touchdown, it's a really bad week.
Well, he had 2 touchdowns.
For fantasy.
Yeah, for fantasy, I'm saying. And so like, it's not that the workload was massive. He's not getting necessarily all of this work, I don't think. And so you need the touchdowns.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at the Nick Chubbs, the Derrick Henrys. Let's keep going down this list.
The Damian Williams.
Yeah, like he's going to get
Harris,
a lot of
those.
Damian
Harris.
Like he's getting. Yep. It's none of the. Although he did have a couple catches, but it's typically not much receiving work. It's very goal line dependent. Kind of a lot of those. I am with Brian in the sense of.
I just don't think I'm not willing to say that medical technology has come so far and that his Achilles is going to be perfectly fine and he's a bigger, stronger man than ever before. Like everybody seems to just be like, it was like Thursday, Cam Akers played, and everybody's like, RBs will never be able to play with a torn Achilles. And then by Sunday, everybody completely flipped the script, and
after
the old torn Achilles are better than ever. And
after 1 week, yep.
Yeah, and
I hate the Achilles injuries
like,
too.
He's like the only player who's ever looked good after this. So I'm still waiting.
I will add the one thing about James Robinson's game is he's an up and north and south runner, right?
Yeah.
North runner.
You don't need quite the lateral agility,
and that's how he runs. So like this could be absolutely how he plays. Maybe not quite as efficient because it was ridiculous, like 6 yards a carry, somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like if I had him, I don't think I'm selling. I think I'm just holding, and I think I'll probably flex. It depends on. I mean, like. It's going against the Colts. The Colts defensive line wasn't great last week. It wasn't bad.
He's a scary start for me. But with what you paid for him, you got to be happy. Like you got to be encouraged if you're a James Robinson owner.
That's true.
Sure.
Like PPR, it might be a little bit tougher. Like
so,
you're probably going to want.
Very quickly, we should touch on the passing game with the Jags. So we have Christian Kirk, 6 catches, 117 yards. How you guys feeling about him? Wide receiver 1?
Great. Yeah,
I'm
not going to say wide receiver 1.
And I got to give Alex. We got this one wrong. Alex got it right. At least I got it wrong. I'm lumping you guys.
I think I was pretty low.
Yeah, I was low.
He looked great.
He looked great.
I feel like I wasn't as low as you guys.
Like he's nice. He's nice.
I was pretty low. I had him for 1,000 yards, and then I backed off it like a softie. And then our fans want to know Curtis Samuel or Zay Jones.
I believe in the talent of one of these players. I believe in the talent of one of these players, and they've connected.
Curtis Samuel all day.
And it's Curtis Samuel.
Yeah.
Better situation, better team,
better player,
better coach,
team,
better player,
better player, more usage.
I was going to say they definitely made a point to get Curtis Samuel touches. Like he had a couple rushes, he had a couple of this, couple of that. However, I think I put it in the notes that Ron Rivera said he wanted to get Antonio Gibson more touches like on the outside and stuff.
Let's talk about the Commanders. Let's do it.
Well, we kind of already are moving into that, so I guess we should. So
Commanders
Antonio Gibson, it sounded like Ron Rivera wants to give Antonio Gibson the touches that he just gave to Curtis Samuel going forward. I don't know if that's necessarily the case, and it's just, coach speak, whatever.
Curtis Samuel's good with him. Like, it's hard to come away from that game and think I should take this guy's touches.
And Ron Rivera just says crazy shit all the time. He's like the most notorious for this. Like, Antonio Gibson's going to be the CMC of this offense 2 years in a row, and it never was there. This year, the year that I don't think he said it, where he was going to bench him, he finally gets him involved. He gets him playing as a freaking wide out, which he was a wide out. So he finally involves him in the passing game. We didn't see much of J.D. McKissick. I loved it.
I think Ron Rivera is like me at our fantasy draft drafting Christian Kirk and like hating it, but at the same time you're like, okay, he's a pretty good player. I'll trot him out there, but at the same time you're like,
Who did you draft that you felt that way about? Was it Cordarrelle?
Oh man, it was Cordarrelle. It was Christian Kirk. It was like my whole team.
I've got Cordarrelle nightmares from that draft because Brian drafted him. Brian bid me up on him. I was bidding against him. And then I was like, all right, just take him. And then immediately he goes, I don't even want him. Why did I draft him? And I go, I'll pay you what you
draft
like
$8
right now. Yeah, like I'll give you your $8 right now. I'll give you your money back. I'll take him. No, I'm keeping him. And now here we are, week 1.
Yeah, he's like, yo, I drafted Cordarrelle.
Yeah, let me go move him up in my ranks, guys.
Let's get back to this game. So Commanders versus Lions. I mean, Antonio Gibson looked great. He's absolutely in your lineup.
Really good. I mean,
the team like Carson Wentz looked good. Carson Wentz needs to be owned in one QB leagues.
He had mistakes, but the good was really good.
He needs to be owned. He be rostered.
Disagree.
Yeah, it's not a start.
Leave him on the waiver wire.
He's QB 12 to 16 to me.
For now.
I would say 16 to 20.
Look, there was a point where we haven't seen it in a while, but Carson Wentz looked the part his rookie year, his second year. He looked the part, and he was good fantasy wise.
Well, he was the locked and loaded MVP until the injury. Like there's pieces of Carson Wentz's past that are incredibly ugly. I'll own that. There's pieces of his past that are incredibly nice too.
and his year last year wasn't bad. It was a pretty good year. It started slow because he had ankle injuries. Was that me?
No, Brian was raising his eyebrows probably because I was raising my eyebrows. So then I took him to the roof.
So there was like, he looked good. He blew some games and they said, we're going to ship you off. You're not the answer. But like
for Matt Ryan,
there might be a chip on his shoulder this year for Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't throw him much last year. So like, anyways, I think he should be rostered. I wouldn't be starting him against the Lions, although the Lions defense doesn't look amazing. So one of the things we saw from last week, T-Mac was overshadowed by the rookie Jahan Dotson and Curtis Samuel.
Dotson got really slept on in rookie drafts too.
And honestly, really, to me, more Curtis Samuel. I'll just say that. Like, Curtis Samuel was more involved in this offense.
He was.
Yeah, but Dotson had 2 touchdowns, and one of them was very nice.
Touchdowns are the least trustworthy and repeatable thing in fantasy football.
He was out there quite a bit, though.
He was. I don't mean he wasn't out there, but like, if you tell me he's like, guy had 3 catches for 3 touchdowns, I don't like the future fantasy.
I think it was 3 for 2. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I think Curtis Samuel was the surprise to me.
Yeah, I think Curtis Samuel, if you probably picked him up on waivers, if you're in need of flex, I am okay with you flexing him, especially against the Lions.
That's crazy.
I think this game's gonna ring up.
You like
again.
Curtis Samuel more than me.
You would have flexed him this week against the Lions? I think this is gonna be a high scoring game again.
I'd like to share something real quick.
I guess it just depends on like what your roster is.
Team, it does depend. Yeah.
I'd like to point out right here. This is projections for this week, and you guys made fun of me for mentioning flexing Josh Palmer, and yet here you are.
Yeah, we saw Curtis Samuel
do amazing.
Are. What did Josh Palmer do this week? I forgot. I
he was still 3rd string at the time. He's not anymore.
I can't believe this is even. I'll take a Curtis Samuel versus Josh Palmer bet
for this week. I'll take it
for this week. All right, we'll discuss terms later. Let's flip over to the Lions against the Commanders.
Just real quick, any T-Mac worries?
Not yet. No.
Kind of.
I think like we just saw
starting to creep in.
I don't think there's any worries.
I just think there's more talent around him than there's ever been.
That part is true. That part is true.
Wouldn't that be better?
Depends on the
better to the extent that it doesn't completely dwindle like enough targets to be a stud.
But he's not like he's not like Deontay though. He's not just like PPR machine.
2 catches is scary.
Explosion.
If he had 4 catches, which isn't a big number, but if he had 4 catches, we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
And one of his catches, I think,
doesn't that sound crazy? Doesn't that make you feel like you drank crazy sauce?
Yeah.
Didn't he have like a 40-yard touchdown in the 4th quarter?
Longer than that, I think.
Yeah. Well, he only had 58 yards. That's why I was being conservative.
Yeah, it's something around.
So he would have
had
he had
a 12-yard catch, 12 or 9-yard catch in the first half.
I'm a little concerned.
I have none.
I'm keeping my eye on it, but I'm still playing him.
I might be a little biased because I have him.
You do have to be encouraged with the Carson Wentz play. Like the scales of like, hey, Carson Wentz looks like old Carson Wentz versus there was enough targets for Terry. You probably value the Carson Wentz action more.
Is Carson Wentz the new Ryan Fitzpatrick?
No.
I think he's better than Ryan Fitzpatrick, but I can see the gunslinger kind of like
because
Ryan Fitzpatrick is good for half a year though, Brian.
Exactly, and so is Carson Wentz.
Let's talk about Lions. The Lions going against Commanders. DeAndre Swift is obviously a locked and loaded player as long as he's okay and doesn't have a major ankle injury. What are we thinking about Jamal Williams? Because he's the carries that you don't want. It's Wednesday, my dudes. He's the carries you don't want, but he ended up scooping away 2 TDs. Like he gets a lot of goal line work, and I don't think that's going to change.
You realize you've said that sentence previously. You know that, right? You literally did this last year. The exact same, like he's getting touchdowns, and then by week 4 he was on the waivers. Like you've been here and said this. I legitimately remember you saying these exact same words.
I know, because I think I actually discussed this, probably true, on Monday, where I was like, Jamal came off to a hot start last year, and then they just went away from him. But like, here's my thing. Why start this way and then go away from that? I mean, DeAndre Swift is a stud.
Tell me why, Cody.
It's not the hot start. I don't view it as a hot start like you do. I think Jamal Williams was the same crappy, inefficient running back that he's always been.
Wow. These are big.
And now he got 2 touchdowns, but
did you see the runs in the goal line? Like they were nice. They were good runs. He
for 2 yards
off a defender.
For 2 yards.
Yards aside, he looked good in the goal line.
He's a career 3.9 yards per carry. He's just not a good running back. He's
Mario,
just not.
It's interesting. Hold on, that Mario says that they went away from Jamal Williams last year because, I mean, let me just share this with you guys. So
it only mattered if he got touchdowns. If he didn't get touchdowns,
I'm just looking at the carries he's getting throughout the entire year.
DeAndre Swift was gone. Brian, DeAndre Swift was out.
I understand, but you still
11.
like. How are you going to say he started off hot and then he faded? He didn't fade. He still got the same work.
I can't see. It's too small.
Where's touchdown? It is small, but where's touchdowns at?
Touchdowns is right here. So yeah, he only had 1 touchdown in the second half of the year.
That's the problem.
He had 2 in the first 3 weeks last year. But the carries are kind of crazy to me. Like he averaged probably like 14 carries throughout the entire year each week.
This is great to look at because this is what I tell people about J-Rob and ETN. Yeah, it's probably a lesser version. J-Rob's probably better than Jamal. ETN is probably not up to DeAndre Swift yet. But the value can be there with J-Rob still running the rock. I'm telling you, it can be. Now, is it going to be utilized? Hopefully. I know we're flipping it off there.
Stop flipping me off.
ARSB is the top 20 for me, boys.
Yep, agreed.
And I was sleeping on him all off season, and it proved I did need to just see it once. I just needed to see it once that Jared Goff would go to this guy with TJ Hawkinson, with DeAndre Swift in the game. With DJ Chark out there. I expect a little notch to Jameson, but he's going to be a little slow to get back anyway.
Well, Mario, didn't you send a stat to Alex about how, like, through 3 quarters, he only had this and this?
Yeah, I did. I was watching the game. This is what happened, Cody. I was watching the game. I'm in the Discord, and I'm literally just kind of like, it's kind of where I put my notes and have discussion, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, it's kind of crazy that through 3 quarters, ARSB only has 2 catches for 12 yards. And that was at 6 minutes in the third.
Yeah.
So like 6 targets at that point though. So that's the encouraging part. And
how many targets he ended up with? 14?
It was about, I thought it was 12.
12? Okay.
Yeah. He ended up scoring within 2 minutes of me texting that. But that's when Brian came in, which he only comes in to just complain. Mario is the king of cherry picking. And it's literally wasn't cherry picking. It was me watching the game. And that's all he says. And then he disappears again.
And then I disappeared again.
And he probably goes play super auto pets. Anyways, so Amon-Ra is probably locked in.
He's a must start for the foreseeable
targets,
future. Jameson Williams, there'll be a slight reevaluation, but he's a must start.
TJ Hawk needs to be on your bench. I mean,
that's kind of crazy.
Wait, I'm gonna kind of take a step back there.
Downgraded.
He's got to be downgraded, but like you have to start looking at options on your waiver wire for a better tight end because he is no longer Jared Goff's favorite target.
Multiple leagues, I own the combination of TJ Hawkinson and Cole Kmet, and I couldn't be more disgusted right now.
Don't worry about Cole Kmet.
Which one of those bums do you start, Mario?
Yeah.
Cole Kmet.
Oh.
It was a monsoon.
It was a goose egg is what it was.
A monsoon. All right. We got 2 more games here. Dolphins versus the Ravens. Are you guys comfortable starting any RB in this game? So that means some combination of J.K. Dobbins, Kenyon Drake, Chase Edmonds, Raheem Mostert, any of them.
I have 2 things to say on this. The answer is I'm not comfortable with any Baltimore running back if you have another option. If you're in an emergency, then you got to do what you got to do. But I would rather not start a Ravens running back. I'm not sure if I said
I second
Dolphins.
that.
I would start Chase Edmonds in my flex.
Yeah. Chase Edmonds is a better start this week than any Ravens running back.
Yeah, the game needs to be close for Chase Edmonds to score more than 12 points. So
yeah,
that's what has to happen.
I was going to add is on our little itinerary. I didn't realize someone had blacked out the things we'd already hit just a second ago. And I literally been sitting here clicking on the screen, trying to figure out why the heck everything's black.
It's so old, dude. You're so old.
Oh, that's funny.
So I would probably start. I mean, I would flex Chase Edmonds as well. I think he looked great. He did kind of fizzle out, but again, they started winning. They were up to, I think, 20 pretty quick in this game.
And he's a player that, again, he's another one of those guys, I don't want too many touches. If you give me 12 to 15 point Chase Edmonds, I'm a happy camper. I don't think he can handle massive workload.
He's a little smaller, so I agree. He's only been injured, I think, really bad last year.
Let me hit you guys.
Would you rather?
You should already.
Would you?
Always,
Because I wrote it in the thing, but I just was curious. Who would you rather start, Chase Edmonds or Rashad Bateman?
Chase Edmonds. Even though
Chase
I am
Edmonds.
a notorious for PPR, like you should probably start a wide receiver.
Same here.
I have some major worries about Rashad Bateman.
I think it's too early to worry. But I'd start Chase.
Bateman,
It's week one with 2 new receivers, basically.
Bateman was gonna put up a big nothing burger
until late.
Until
and
real late.
The thing is, like, week 1 is more telling for Bateman, and here's why. Because we didn't necessarily see some great connection between Lamar and Bateman before. It really wasn't. It was a Hollywood and Lamar show, and it always was. Although we only saw Lamar and Bateman play a couple times. But even if Lamar has played with Duvernay quite a bit more than Bateman, and it just makes me real worried for this first half of the year and maybe even longer for Bateman to have success in this offense. I am starting to have some big concerns. And I am slightly on the Duvernay board just because he fits the mold of the Lamar receiver that he likes to throw to.
Do you think so?
He's very similar to Hollywood. He's so fast. He gets
would have had it
deep.
1.5 points up until 2 minutes left in the third.
And it was a 52-yard touchdown.
55-yard pass touchdown. Which Duvernay already had.
Which can happen. Yes. And he outsnapped Duvernay. Bateman outsnapped Duvernay. I think he got one more target than him. So like those sort of metrics are good, but like, it's not even like he barely outsnapped him and he only had like 1 or 2 more targets. It's not like he had 6 more targets, right? Like, it's not this like, okay, I can breathe again.
To me, I get some concerns. I'm not in panic mode, but I also didn't have like that high of expectations for Bateman. And maybe that's where we're different. Like
a lot of people,
a pretty late pick.
Bateman was
not like crazy
up,
late, but
just like Elijah Moore, like they were both hyped
I paid
up
like
a lot.
$4 for Bateman. Did I not?
You probably
more than that.
You paid 10.
I think I have 2 interesting notes here. One of them,
I had Bateman 29, 28.
Is that if you were, because a lot of people thought they were being really smart picking up Mike Davis before the game, but obviously it was Kenyon
Drake show.
11 carries. 1 catch. He was on the field for 60% of snaps. It's not anything sexy, but if you're desperate for a running back, it's probably not the absolute worst. And then the other interesting thing I thought is
if JK is not back.
Yeah, exactly. Another interesting thing that we kind of talked about in the preseason is that Isaiah Likely was actually out on the field quite a bit, and he had 4 targets.
Yeah,
he didn't have any catches. Yeah, nothing there. But it does make you wonder. Like, do the Ravens just want to run 2 tight ends?
Oh yeah,
a bunch of receivers.
Yeah,
a bunch of receivers.
And just a bunch of random receivers.
And that's where I was actually gonna go talking about Bateman. I don't think people like overpaid. So I don't think maybe overpaid is the wrong word. Like I don't think a lot of people drafted Bateman thinking he's got to be my wide receiver too. And if they did, that was probably not the smartest thing ever.
But I think they did, Cody.
Yeah, and he was a perfectly fine flex this week. So like I got what I thought I was going to get this week. I understand it was in the third quarter,
but
I guess.
We're like I think we're expressing doubts that he can always be a perfectly fine flex.
And that may be true, but like if you tell me like a guy I thought was a flex turned into like just outside of flex, that's not like an alarming like I've got real, you know what I mean? Like that doesn't do that to me. If
he
a wide
went
receiver
as wide receiver 36.
I was just about to check that.
So he shouldn't be starting, is what you're saying.
Well, I think he's an okay flex, but I don't feel this like, man, if he's not a flex, what did I do? Like, I don't feel like that at all.
I don't know how you could put him into flex again this week. I guess that's where I struggle.
He was a really good flex this week.
No, wasn't he 10 points?
I told you he's my wide receiver 2 in a league with Allen Robinson, and I have Saquon and Jonathan Taylor in that league. So I mean, we're doing all right. But
and I'm not trying to sell this like that I'm ecstatic about him. I I don't know. I don't think he was some wild disappointment this week for where he was drafted.
I think, again, though, like you're looking at that from just his points and where he was drafted, and I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
And this is very much Lamar's game. So I also understand, like, he throws a deep ball. This is
Yep.
But man, did he not look? Duvernay had 2 by that point. Duvernay had 2 touchdowns already.
Right.
That's where like some of my concerns are.
Do they just cancel each other out? To me, that's probably the better. Because like I don't think Bateman's going. Like I don't think like maybe you say Bateman doesn't repeat this, but I don't think Bateman's going away either.
You know who was drafted 2 receivers later was Christian Kirk.
There you go.
Let's move to our last game, Mario.
Yeah, last one here. I was trying to see where where he fell, where Bateman fell in the flex rankings.
It would be higher than 36. It'd be higher than he was drafted.
It's not higher than 36.
Well, but he was drafted as wide receiver 36, so really that would make him flex player like 60.
He wasn't within 36. All right.
Talking for this week, he's 52. He's right after David Montgomery, right before Chase
Honestly,
Edmonds.
he finished about exactly where he was drafted. Honestly, like
70.
And I could
70. He's finished higher than his draft.
He's above Chase Edmonds, Darrell Henderson are the next 2. And I'm kind of shocked that David Montgomery's that low, I guess.
He sucked. But it was a monsoon. All right, let's go to our last game. Bucks versus Saints. The Julio update we already talked about. I think he's a smash play. I would start him if he's okay. If Mike Evans is okay. So who noted this? This has to be Brian. Like he has the Jameis with the throw up emoji. Jameis played great. He had Alvin Kamara with the throw up emoji. Alvin Kamara, I have big concerns. I'm not panicking, but I do have some concerns. So with the Buccaneers, like how cute are you getting if you said I'm gonna bench?
Dude, hold on. Let me pause you real
cute?
quick. The Falcons were the worst team in the league last year. They dominated the Saints for 3/4 of this game. The Saints were still playing the worst team in the league. I do not think Jameis is playing great and had a great game against the worst team in the league that he struggled against for 3.5 quarters.
Whoa. Take 18 steps back. He's played with three wide receivers that he has never played with. And he put up great stats with Michael Thomas. Jarvis looked incredible. Olave, that's
almost 70% completion, I think, 23 or 34.
I don't know, like when you're watching this game, they started off a little slow, but in the second half, they really turned it around.
Jameis is not going to be started in 12-team leagues next week.
I don't think you should start him in 12-team leagues yet, but I would think he was also
putting
in the Wentz category.
Next to the whole offense is hardly fair either.
No, I didn't put him next to the whole offense.
Came around.
You said this whole Saints offense is busted. That's your exact line.
I did not say that. I said for 3 quarters.
Check the tape.
Saints offense looks busted. I'm reading it right now.
Wait, I did write that. Crap. No, I thought the receivers were great. I thought the receivers were great. I really just meant Jameis and Kamara. But that's also the reason why I had Kamara ranked pretty low this year as well. Because I just don't trust Jameis. Jameis is not a dump.
I don't think he's good. Not with these receivers.
He doesn't dump off. He's not a dump off quarterback. He is a receiver quarterback.
Yeah. And like, are you telling me? So I really want to ask you guys, because I think this is getting too cute and you probably don't have enough options to do this.
Too cute.
But Kamara against the Buccaneers D line, like we're going to be okay with this.
I'm not ranking him in my top 12, but he's still a start.
I think he's going to be under 10 points.
You know, it's funny that we talk about this when I just brought up to you earlier. Should I play Cordarrelle or Derrick Henry this week?
I smash on Derrick Henry, but Alvin Kamara.
Derrick Henry plays Buffalo and they're scary.
His game was receiving. We didn't see it week 1. Now we're going against a Buccaneers defense that looked really freaking good. If you had a good option, you're not going to throw in Damian Williams. You're not going to throw in Jamal Williams.
What about Chase?
If you had J-Rock, I would put Chase Edmonds. Yeah.
See, it'd be Kamara for me, and I like Chase Edmonds.
I'd go with Kamara also.
Yeah.
I would take a bet that Chase Edmonds does better than Kamara this week.
I'll make the bet. I don't really care that much, but I'll take it. Like,
I could see it. I could see it happening for sure. I wouldn't be surprised at all. because I think Kamara.
Oh, I'm gonna victory lap it.
I think Kamara has been so hurt ever since Jameis came into town.
Man, we got all the friends coming in. What's up, Willie?
We do. We got
our whole league has showed up tonight.
We got to talk about another thing on this Saints offense that I really don't even want to go here, but it's got to be talked about. It's not Taysom Hill, actually. It's Jarvis Landry.
Okay.
Is this real?
I think so.
I feel like Jarvis fits the New Orleans culture more than anybody's ever fit New Orleans culture.
I mean, there might be some leagues, there might be. It wasn't mine, but there could be some leagues where he was potentially on waivers. No,
10 team.
Close. Maybe 10 team.
And the dude put up 7 for 114. I mean, that's a monster game.
And he looked good doing it, dude.
Yeah,
like he was involved in the
looked
offense.
Like younger self.
Like Michael Thomas came on late in this game, but Jarvis was involved the whole game.
Jarvis looked old for the Browns last year. He just looked old doing it.
No, he didn't look old for the Browns last year.
Here it is.
Baker was
Baker
was just trash last year.
Really,
but I didn't say anything about the throws or anything. I'm talking like watching Jarvis Landry play football.
He was hurt. He was hurt a lot.
He was also hurt.
But
also, I feel like when your quarterback is butt cheeks, like you're not gonna like look at Allen Robinson in Chicago and now the Rams. His quarterback sucks. So
I want to go over one more thing about this offense too. When is the last time we've seen a player like Jameis who has kind of turned around his career? He was a interception machine, and the dude is coming along as a pretty efficient quarterback.
Got his eyes fixed.
LASIK Jameis.
Yep.
All right, so let's flip over.
He should have been wearing those Blankenship goggles the whole time.
Real quick, Mario, I do think we should mention, I know you mentioned a little bit about Michael Thomas, but I mean, Michael Thomas was a huge question mark going into the year. And I'm just curious, like, you guys are doing all this Jarvis love. Do you want Jarvis or you want Michael Thomas?
I probably want both of them.
I think I want Michael Thomas, and I was out on Michael Thomas. But, it's one of those deals where, like, am I surprised by Michael Thomas after how long he was off? And yes. But I think Michael Thomas is the better all-around talent still than Jarvis.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Jarvis was never a slouch. Jarvis was always like a
not a slouch, but not
guy with like the Dolphins.
He wasn't. He's not a physical talent though. You know what I mean by that? Like,
wait. Let's just say
he's a possession receiver.
Yeah, he's the Cooper Cup. We got another. We do. He's not. He's the Cooper Cup. The Wes Welker. He really does play that way.
He is. He's scrappy. Yeah.
He's a perfect.
I mean, I'd maybe go like a little more like Cole Beasley than Cooper Cup. I'm just kidding. It's not that bad, but
no, that's. I think Jarvis is very much that receiver. He's a PPR machine.
Yep.
He's an Edelman. He's a Wes Welker. He's a Cooper Cup. Jarvis Landry.
I agree, and to me, Michael Thomas is the football. I don't want to say the football player. He's just the more talented wide receiver.
Yeah, he looked good.
He's bigger also.
Bucks. Yeah. I already said Julio's a smash play for me. I don't even know if you guys would, starting him, or either of you.
He's flex territory for me.
Yeah, I'd probably.
I liked what I saw.
As long as he's healthy, he did look really good. Yep. But he already got hurt, which is not.
And he got up gimpy on like 3 plays, and so like I hate to say it, Mario, but my opinion is the days are numbered. He got up real slow a few times, real slow.
I didn't see that. Okay, let's keep going. Lenny looked good.
That's
Lenny. Fat Lenny was a lie to all.
I love my Lenny's fat.
That's what some of us were, predicting at the beginning of the year.
Now I'm getting accused of saying that Landry was going to win the Triple Crown. I put him in the Cooper category. Yes. No.
Your boy Rachaad White got 6 carries.
Yeah, Rachaad was good. He's a good pass catcher.
He got some nice garbage time work.
I mean, there's not much to talk about because I think you're like starting all of these guys.
Their
offense was a little slow because they went up so much.
I think this was the worst game of the week.
Absolutely. Not we're previewing, yes, but the Bucks game last week was the worst game of the week. It was rough. It was very boring. I went at 5 minutes left in second to watch House of Dragon and had a much better time than what you guys did if you stuck that out.
No, I think I also
popped back on around third.
I did.
I popped in third. You did.
But it was mostly because
you loving Lenny. You were just there like.
Well, here's what it was. Once Mike Evans got his touchdown, so I had Mike Evans and Lenny in a league where I needed some points to win it. And so once Mike Evans got his touchdown, I had both of them sitting with like between 15 and 20 points in the third quarter. And I'm like, okay, like things are heating up.
And then you lost?
I did. Well, neither of them scored another point the rest of the game. Like,
and like that Mike Evans TD was like, I mean, that was definitely, yeah. And it solidified it.
So they had me like 30 some points. I'm like, okay, I need like 15 more. It's third quarter, maybe, but it never came together. So that had me watching the game though.
Is there anybody else that you guys would be considering starting outside of Lenny, Mike Evans, Tom Brady? Anybody that you're starting for this game? Obviously, Godwin's. I probably wouldn't. Man, Godwin.
I wouldn't start Godwin if he played.
Nope.
Yeah,
that
you probably just
re-injury.
Be safe. High. Yeah. Play your Thursday night guys if that's who you're considering it. Play your Thursdays.
I feel like this is the first week, and this is a completely made up stat. First week in 10 years that a Tom Brady tight end doesn't have more than one catch.
Julio's the new tight end. Let's go with that.
Yeah, right.
Hey, I think he has potential to have that kind of year. So
I don't want to go like I'll make this really quick. Nobody respond to me. I want you to ignore me. Teams should do this more.
Brian, what's up, dude? What are you doing?
With aging wide receivers, they should utilize them in those kind of ways because an aging wide receiver who's got the physical traits still is still a better athlete than an in the prime tight end in a lot of cases. Like Julio Jones could definitely be a non-blocking tight end, like running those type of routes.
Yeah, it's Mike. He goes to Mike Evans.
He said, "Don't respond. I'm playing the outro."
I try to ignore him. I've been waiting for this outro to pop up.
Have a night, guys.
Bye, guys. No, if you're not already following us on Twitter at DadBodFS, on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, DadBod Fantasy Squad. We also post. Tell me when I go out. I will. Already happening.
Without fail.
Yep.
It's just gonna start dancing.
Hold on, it'll come back.
It's back.
Okay,
back here.
On Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts.
But now he's blurry.
He is.
Something else. We'll be posting the recordings there. Catch us tomorrow.
Boy.
Me and Robbie will be on there to preview the rest of the games, and we'll be back next Wednesday. No!